don't carry out illegal instructions. I want to ask our police officers to follow 4 documents as they work. The Constitution of Kenya, 2010. The Penal Code, Chapter 6.3 of the laws of Kenya. The Criminal Procedure Code, CPC, Cap 7.5. And the Evidence Act, Cap 80. Those should be your guiding documents. Mkubwa akikwambia kwenda piga mtu, mwambie kuandikia karatasi. The former DP.
To my channel. So this case of Albert Ojwang's demise has gripped the airwaves and social media since 8th of June when he reportedly lost his life. So since then, there has been a lot of speculation about the cause of his death. So first off, the police released a statement claiming that he took his own life by hitting the cell wall repeatedly. That was followed by the Inspector General Kanja and the Director General of DCI, Amin, appearing in front of Senate to confirm that he actually took his own life. The post-mortem, however, revealed that Albert endured soft tissue injuries and had a compression against his neck, which are consistent with external assault. Another discovery that was made is Albert suffered bleeding on the frontal part of his brain, which added more doubt that he actually injured himself. So then another notable development that happened was the stepping aside of the Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat to allow for investigations to take place. So this came as a surprise because when Albert was pronounced dead, a lot of people wanted him to resign. But he was staying put, I think, until things heated up yesterday. I'm wondering why Lagat is tied to this issue. When Albert was pronounced dead, a lot of people wanted him gone because the Inspector General Kanja mentioned that he is the one who lodged a complaint about Albert defaming him on social media, and he's actually the one who ordered for his arrest.
Complaint that had been launched by the DIG KPS about his name being tarnished. So it is on that basis that investigations were actually being carried out.
KTN has now established that Ojwang and his friend had allegedly circulated a counterfeit front page of the Standard newspaper headlined Mafia Cop, accusing a senior police officer of amassing illicit wealth and purchasing property in Dubai. This fake publication triggered the chain of events that led to the two friends' arrest.
So people protested last week demanding for Eliud Lagat to resign and to be arrested and prosecuted for Albert's death. But he stayed put because I think he was confident the matter would just blow over. So then it also emerged the CCTV for Central Police Station where Albert was taken was tampered with. So I think that must have added more confidence to the cops who conspired in the foul play, because I think they imagined the evidence had been erased. And behold, Mbagathi Hospital, where Albert was taken on that fateful night, released CCTV footage to indicate that Albert was actually dead before he was taken to hospital.
At exactly 1:35 a.m. on June 8th, CCTV footage at Mbagathi Hospital captures a police van driving into the facility. Inside the van were 3 officers. One of the officers was the driver. 2 officers got out of the car and could be seen conversing before making their way inside the hospital. The driver followed behind slowly, but even before they got to the emergency room, one of the officers received a call and the others followed him out. For 3 minutes, he was on the call before returning into the hospital building. All this time, the late Albert Ojwang was at the back of the police van. No one checked on him despite the officers having supposedly taken him to Mbagathi Hospital as a person who was gravely unwell. At 1:40 a.m., 2 officers were captured walking inside the hospital, searching for medics. 6 minutes later, they emerged with a stretcher and they got straight to the van. It took another 10 minutes to move him from the police van to the hospital. With the help of the security guard at the facility, the late Ojwang on a stretcher was pushed inside the facility at 1:59 a.m., 24 minutes after he was brought to the facility. Inside the emergency room, Ojwang only stayed for 10 minutes, those in charge confirming the worst. The suspect was brought in dead. Mbagathi Hospital incident report indicated that on examination, Ojwang was unresponsive, had no cardiac activity, and that his entire body was cold and face was swollen and with injuries. He also had a cut at the back of his head. At 2:10 a.m., the CCTV captured the officers leaving the emergency room with the body of the late Ojwang. 5 minutes later, the police van left the hospital parking with the corpse, which was later taken to city mortuary. Why were the officers not in a hurry to ensure he was attended to? Who were they talking to on their phones at a time when they were supposed to be busy ensuring he was attended to?
Even if you're not an expert of investigating crime scenes, you can just tell the cops were trying to cover foul play. And as if that was not enough, one policeman from Central Police Station was arrested, and he had this statement released yesterday. Officer is named James Mukwana, so he made a declaration saying that I'm speaking to Justin Nyatete, the investigator with the Independence Police Oversight Authority, that I understand the information I give will be used by the authority for the purpose of investigations, that I understand the information I give may be disclosed to the Director of Public Prosecutions for prosecution, that I may be required to appear in person before the Kenyan criminal courts, that I have the right to request for privacy of my identity, that I reserve the right to legal representation before I speak to the investigator, and or if I am called to give evidence before the courts. So I am the above named police officer currently attached to Central Police Station. I perform general duties. I was enlisted in the National Police Service in the year 2018. I went on my initial training at Administration Police Training College, currently Embakasi A campus. I graduated in the year 2019 and was posted to Marsabit County, where I served for 2 years. When the merger took place, I was transferred to the Kenya Police Service. I do recall very well on 7th of June 2025, I reported on duty at 0800 hours. I took over from PC Kimani, the cell sentry duties. While at the place of work, a report of his place deputy, OCS IP Nganga, came and told me, Mukwana umechoma, unaitwa kwa OCS. I asked him, afande nimechoma nini? He hurried to follow him to the OCS office. While I followed him when I followed him, it was around 19:30 hours. Reaching at the OCS office, while inside, the deputy OCS locked the door. The OCS was in his seat, and then was on his seat. He then called me Mukwana. I responded, yes sir. He asked, umefanya kazi hapa muda gani kwa ofisi? I told him muda mrefu kama miaka 2. And then he said, kuna directive kutoka kwa DIG Mr. Lagat, unamjua? I replied, yes. He then said, kuna officers wa DCI headquarters wanaleta mtu kama saa 2 hivi. Watakuwa wamefika. Nataka uende seli, uangalie wale wamekaa rumande, uambie kuna kazi nataka wafanye. Kuna mahabusu analetwa, wamshughulikie kidogo. He then said that nikiwa Lang'ata, kuna mahabusu nilitafuta wa kumshughulikia kidogo apate injuries, na nikamtoa na haikuleta maneno. He then said, chukua hii 2,000, enda ongelesha mahabusu, kuna mtu analetwa nataka wamshughulikie, na ni amri kutoka kwa mkubwa. I then asked him, na hiyo sijawahi ona hapa na ikikuwa mbaya. He replied, hapana, huwezi kataa amri ya mkubwa. Kwani mimi mwenyewe nilikubali, kwani mimi ni mjinga, na ukikataa kuna kitu inaweza kukufanyikia na wewe ni junior officer. I replied, sawa sawa. I then told him, mimi afande nataka kutoka kazi. PC Kimani anaingia. He then said, Kimani hapana. Then the deputy interjected and said, hapana, Kimani apelekwe kwa gate. I told him, if Kimani will be at the gate, he will suspect something fishy. It will raise eyebrows. Then the deputy agreed and said, sawa, wacha mkue na yeye. He then opened the door. We went downstairs. The deputy met PC Kimani and started informing him about the plan, while I proceeded to the cells to look for the remandees. I met Ngige, who had stayed for a long time. I then told Ngige, here is 2,000. OCS has given out, kuna mahabusu, anakuja, anataka, mshughulikie kidogo, yani discipline kidogo. I told them he should look for people who could do the job, and then he left and went to the cells. All remandees are kept in cell number 1 on the right side as you enter the cells. After a few minutes, he told me he had people for the job. He then handed me 2,000 and told me the money I should use to buy alcohol, since they cannot do such work without being high. I then left and went to the canteen and bought alcohol and brought it. I gave it to Ngige and he went back to their cell. PC Kimani told us to make the instructions succeed. He should take over the duties of cell sentry duties. He then called the inmates to the waiting bay. He called out the inmates one by one. As they were entering the back cells, he confirmed all the inmates were present. It was around 8:30 p.m. I went to the changing room. I changed from the uniform to civilian clothes. The changing room is outside as you enter the gate on the left side. After changing, it was around 21:00 hours. I then proceeded to the canteen, took a beer. I didn't stay for long. I remember that I had forgotten my keys in the changing room. I then went back to pick up my keys. But before reaching the changing room, a Subaru vehicle arrived and stopped at the entrance of the station. I then suspected that it could be the officers from DCI. So then I called the deputy OCS Ipinganga and asked if he had seen a Subaru. And if it was the one, he told me to call OCS and ask him. I suspect they were DCI officers. So I saw them alight and with a person in handcuffs as at the stairs of the station. So there was a person who came out of the vehicle while on the phone. He was speaking Kalenjin language. The person asked Mwana ni nani. I confirmed I was the one. He then handed a phone to me and the caller called my name. I heard the voice of OCS Talam telling me, ni huyo mtu. It was around 21:10 hours. I asked the same officer who was the suspect. He showed the person seated at the report office. Then said, P. Kimani aweke seli. Pea Kimani aweke seli. I left the canteen as he was being booked. While at the canteen, after about 10 minutes, I called Kimani and asked him if they had finished booking the suspect. He confirmed that he had placed him in the area where shoes are kept. I called the OCS Talam and asked him the extent of the beating that was needed. He told me mtu apewe apate majeraha apelekwe hospitali. The deputy OCS called me asking where I was. I told him at the canteen. He came to the canteen, peeped and saw me. He called shortly after. I returned to PC Kimani, opened the cells. I entered and found Gige already in the corridor. He asked where is the suspect. Yeah, I pointed out where the suspect was, and then entered the cells and came out with the following inmates: Collins Ireri, Gil Amiton, Brian Mwaniki, and Eric Ndambuki, and found Gige already in the corridor. He asked, where is the person? I think that is Albert they're referring to. I pointed out where the suspect was. He then entered the cells and came out with the following inmates: Colin Ireri, Gil Amiton, Brian Mwaniki, and Eric Ndambuki. They took the suspect to the last cell opposite the toilets. At that moment, I was with Kimani at the entry point of the cells. I could hear the screams from the last cell where Ngige and his team had taken the suspect. I felt that the beating was too much. I rushed to stop them as PC Kimani followed me. I stopped the beating. The person was oozing blood from the mouth. He was leaning against the wall while seated down. I then told Kimani to inform IP Nganga to take the suspect to the hospital at around 22:00 hours. I was not satisfied. I personally called IP Nganga telling them to take the suspect to hospital. He asked whether the suspect is seriously injured. I told him, take the patient to hospital, and disconnected the phone. I left, boarded Uber motorcycle, and then went home in industrial area. I slept until around 11 a.m. the following day. I left my house, headed to a place where I could have a meal. I called Saddam, who was at the report office, and instructed him to take his phone to Ngige. I wanted to talk to him. I asked Ngige whether the suspect they dealt with had beer. I returned from the hospital. He replied that he did not know. I then received a call from PC Lydia. She asked me, unajua ile kitu umefanya huku? I replied, ni nini? Ati kuna mtu ameletwa na watu wa DCI usiku akapatikana akiwa unconscious. I asked, ni kweli? I went to have my meal. To sleep, I kept receiving calls from other colleagues wanting to know if I had heard of what happened. After I called Ipinganga, asking, kumekuaje, he told me, pigia OCS. I took a few minutes and then called CS Talam. He received my call but said baadaye. I did not call him again. I received several calls from colleagues. I did not go to work for the next 2 days. I could see everything on social media about the death of Ojwang. My instincts started disturbing me after 2 days of the incident. I texted OCS, hello, sir. He did not reply. I then texted him, and are we safe? He replied, not bad. After about 5 minutes, I called him. He said, wacha kuongea hii maneno kwa hii simu. Wacha nikupigie kwa laini nyingine. At the moment, I deleted the text I had sent him. He called me using another line. He said, hii maneno usiongee kwa simu. He asked where I lived. I told him, industrial area. He said he would call me the next day and agree on where to meet that evening. I received a call from OCS crime that there was summons to IPOA. I told OC crime that I've never written a statement about what I would say. The next day, we were to meet. We were issued with summons. I came to the IPOA, recorded a statement. I did not disclose what happened. I thought we were to cover each other, but later I discovered my colleagues had heaped the blame on me. That was on the 11th of June, 2025. So on 12th of June, 2025, I was disturbed by the incident. Something was telling me to return to IPOA and tell the whole truth. I looked for someone to accompany me to IPOA. Reached IPOA, I was arrested and taken to Capitol Hill Police Station. I told Jibril I wanted to record another statement with Nyakundi. He promised that he would return with Nyakundi, whom they came with. I narrated the whole truth while at Capitol Hill Police Station. They promised that I would be taken to court after I recorded my statement. So today, 13th of June, I was taken to court on the miscellaneous application where I'm remanded up to 20th of June 2025. I have recorded my statement in the presence of my advocate. This is the truth of what happened. Ojwang was not meant to be killed, but to be disciplined as per instructions of the OCS Talam, who was also under the instructions of DIG Mr. Lagat as per the instructions he gave. I'm sorry for the death of Ojwang. May God help them to heal from this loss. I know it's painful. Signed, witness. So I think after that damning report from Mohwana, Lagat had to step aside. And now you understand why I posted that soundbite of Rigathi Gachagua warning junior police officers from doing dirty work for the big dogs, because when things go south, unfortunately, the juniors are the ones who take the blame. So people are not satisfied because as per, I think a few hours ago, I don't know whether the protests have ended, people went on the streets again. Guys are demanding for Lagat to be prosecuted. So I'm going to post the next video giving you an update of how the day was. Otherwise, just like this video. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.